everybody, and welcome to World Talks. My name's Don Arleth. And now we'll be discussing the political situation which is taking shape in France after snap elections took place earlier in the month. And for this, I'm joined now by Pascal Drouhaud, international relations expert. Hello, sir, and thank you for joining me this morning on World Talks.
Good morning, a pleasure.
Now, Ms. Castets is being touted as the next Prime Minister of France. She's largely unknown to an international audience, so perhaps you could tell us a bit about her history, and her worldview, if you will.
Yes, but I think that, as you said, the left parties have been according to the name to propose the candidate of prime minister in France to the president, because in France the president nominates the prime minister. So they propose recently a name of Madame Castets, who is a member of the administration and close to those parties. But we can understand that that's absolutely new as a political situation in France. Why? Because since the beginning of the Fifth Republic in 1958, created the institution by the General de Gaulle, de Gaulle wanted to stop with that type of attitude. I mean that for the founder of the Fifth Republic, the president nominates the prime minister coming from the majority of the parliament. And that's the point. Since the last elections anticipated legislative, it is no majority at the parliament, no relative majority. We have different blocks from left, center, and right parties, and you have the duty to create a new coalition. But normally, the president will nominate someone who represent the majority of the parliament. And the problem is that now we don't have any majority. So the parties, as the left parties, and that's a good strategy, were according themselves to propose someone. But the spirit of the constitution is not that. The spirit is that the president nominates someone who will have the support of the majority. And no one today have the possibility to have by himself the majority. So they have to build a coalition, and that's absolutely new since the beginning of that republic in France.
So, in your opinion, Lucie Castets may not make it as Prime Minister. Probably French President Emmanuel Macron is potentially looking at some other people?
Exactly, because the new Popular Front, the left parties, heading the Socialist, heading the party of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the Communist, the Green Party, have not a majority. So Emmanuel Macron, who now is working on that, the nomination of the next prime minister, because he announced that he will nominate the new prime minister around the 15th of August, after the Olympic Games and before the Paralympics, is looking for other possibility. And so that's why I was saying the point is to build a new coalition, perhaps this coalition will come from the center, perhaps with some socialist, some center-right party. We don't know, but I'm not so sure that Madame Castets will be nominated.
Right, and Mr. President Macron would like to keep the current government to carry out its functions throughout the summer in a caretaker capacity. Is that kind of normal in French politics that you have? I mean, we just saw this snap election. We were expecting some quicker, perhaps, changes as a result of that. But as you just explained, the system in France and how the presidential role. Can this process take even longer, say, than just when the Olympics finish? What are your thoughts?
In fact, you are absolutely right. That's new. We never lived since 1958 this type of situation. France has known a parliamentary regime after the Second World War. From 1946 to 1958, France had a parliamentary regime. The president had no power at that time. During 12 years, we lived 18 governments. It was instability. So when the General de Gaulle came back to the power in 1958 with the responsibility to propose new institution, he make institution and electoral system who permit have at the parliament a majority, and the majority means stability in our institution. We don't have the same regime, the same rules that in Italy, for example, or in Germany. So coalition force is absolutely new, because it was before a clear majority or a relative majority, and it was very simple for the prime minister, for the president to nominate a prime minister representing the majority, in fact, or the biggest bloc at the parliament. Today, there are no blocks have by himself a majority and much less a relative majority. So they have to build the coalition, and we know that the party of the right nationalist party, the party of Madame Le Pen, can't make a coalition with the left. The left can't do with the right nationalist party. So we have to be creative. Emmanuel Macron is thinking on the new coalition. Other names are pronounced as, for example, Xavier Bertrand. Xavier Bertrand is the president of the region of the north of France, very industrial region. So Xavier Bertrand is coming from the center-right. He has been minister. So perhaps it will be him as the next prime minister. We don't know for the moment, but that's absolutely new. And that's why it is so important, because we are talking about the next years in France and with the challenge on economy, on integration, on immigration, on security. So, and France in Europe, and we all know that security challenge today for Europe are very important.
Right. Now, with President Macron, what would you say the main issues are for him when trying to explore and find a potential new prime minister?
Well, the President Macron is at the middle of his term, second term. the next presidential elections in France will take place in 2027. So, first of all, the challenge for the president and for the government is political, obviously. Secondly, the challenge and the most important is economical, is about the coherence of the country, about the links between the center and the center of the power and the region. And obviously, it is about, for President Macron, international position, international roles. As you know, and as we have seen those last months, France is also with a department overseas. You have seen the events in New Caledonia, for example, in the Pacific, where there were links with Azerbaijan, with some movement and the protest and strong protest. So, I mean, it is a huge challenge of security. We have seen the cyber attack last Friday against the train in France, about security, and obviously about economy.
Yes, the number one issue in most, if not all, elections. Pascal Drouhaud, international relations expert, thank you very much for joining us on World Talks this morning.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And that concludes this edition of World Talks. Thanks for joining us, and stay with us for more here on TVP World.